It's January. It's cold. My hands are also cold, holding this microphone that hasn't been used in such a long time. Because A, we're back. B, we're back with another best of the year movies. The movies that I really like this year. We are repeating the formula, but at the same time, I want to talk about movies. I want to talk about movies that are relevant, movies that I like that are also relevant. But this year, I don't really feel like ranking all of them. I do have my top three, which I'll give, in order, 3, 2, and 1. That's like a solid, concrete, yes, these are the top three, I know for sure. The rest of the films, there's 10 of them that I really liked, but it's kind of interchangeable with me. So I'm going to give you kind of 10 films that I just really, really liked from this year. But they didn't quite make the top three for me. Let's get this going. You know what it is. You know how it be. I don't know how to start this. Okay. The Holdovers is a very, heartwarming, cozy film. It's definitely one that I can see myself rewatching because it is like a more Christmassy film. It mimics the style of like a 70s film with its, technical aspects, with, the grain and the aspect ratio and the sound. It could come across as gimmicky, but I didn't find it was really a gimmicky thing. I think it just felt natural for the film to have that look and feel to it, and it works for me. And the acting too, it's really great. Paul Giamatti, probably my favorite performance from him. I don't really know if there's any Paul Giamatti roles that I can think of just pop up in my head that I'm like, yes, Paul Giamatti, that was a great role. He's good in supporting stuff. I've seen Fred Claus a few times. This, however, is not as good as Fred Claus for a Christmas movie. So there's that. So maybe that's why it's not a top three choice. The other main actor in this, Dominic Sessa, he's great too. For some reason, when I looked him up, I thought he was 31, and I was like, whoa, that's actually crazy. Dude is portraying a high school student, and it works. And I thought he was around the high school age. Apparently now, I'm looking him up for this video, and he's 21. So I don't know if, it's the Mandela effect, Google is lying to me, or if Dominic Sessa is actually 31 years old. But other than that, he's great in this film. Barbie is a film that I also liked. Hey, I'm a man that goes with the opinions of the masses. What can I do? Barbie's just a fun movie. I think it's one of those films of this year that I can see myself rewatching more than most of these films on this list, just because it's a very fun and enjoyable film. But that's not just what Barbie delivers. It has a great and funny, goofy tone. It knows exactly what it is, but it also delivers, some nice, powerful messages and themes that come across great for this movie. It gave me more than just a fun time at the movies. Killers of the Flower Moon, I will say, didn't disappoint me. I think I had maybe higher expectations for what it actually gave me, which doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's on this list. I did really like it, but I think there's more that I kind of felt afterwards, and there was a lot of reflecting and a lot of thinking about it more than actual not enjoyment, but it wasn't one of the films that I had the best theater going experience. There was some kind of technical difficulties, the sound was being really weird in parts, so that could be also to blame. Okay, so I think everything that it does is really effective. There's a lot of great dramatic moments, Leonardo DiCaprio, De Niro, everyone, Lily Gladstone, everyone here is great. There's nothing here that I didn't like. There was nothing here that I was like, oh, okay, why is this here? It didn't really have the same impact on me as some of Scorsese's other great films later on in his career. I felt like this was a very slow burn film that had a lot of moments of just kind of despair. And yeah, it worked, but I felt like other films that he's done, like Silence, that had a greater impact on me, and there was moments where I felt more kind of emotional weight and impact. This, I don't know why I'm dragging this movie. It's still a good movie. I liked everything about it. I think what it is I need to do a rewatch. So that's why I put it on the list, because I have hope for myself that I will probably get more out of it on the second watch. Speaking of killers, let's talk about The Killer, David Fincher's new film that will make incel teenage boys be like, that's literally me. Now that is literally me. Even though the scale of it does feel smaller than a lot of other David Fincher's projects, it still comes across really effective, and it's more kind of not a character study, but it's more dialed in and focused in on Michael Fassbender's character of this killer. He wants to be the best, and I think having the story being told through his inner monologue was really good. It's basically like a misleading narrator. It is kind of a satire on like assassin movies and that stuff. It's more subtle, where it's not like directly giving you like a satirical answers where it's like, oh, this guy is so stupid. It's more kind of nuanced, and like it's not as in your face, and so sometimes that can make the film seem like, oh, is this actually being satirical on this character? I found that the pace of it worked really well, just going from location to location, and it never felt tiring. Even the opening was just great. It was just, there's a lot of great moments in this that I really liked. May December, I think, has the most acting in a film that I've seen this year. Is it, my favorite acting of this year? Maybe not, but I think if there's a film that encapsulates what acting should look like, if you should study like acting in the year 2023, this is kind of the movie. There's so much interesting choices that each of these actors make. Natalie Portman, great. Julianne Moore with her lisp, I don't know why that's kind of funny to me, but it's also weird, but it also is kind of weirdly like creepy to me. But Charles Melton is the standout boy that everyone is talking about, rightfully so. There's so much little subtleties in his performance that I just found really fascinating, really haunting. Like, it's a film that focuses in on the performances, which is great because all of the performances are great. And so watching it, the camera lingers on characters, and even just little glances or little just facial expressions, you're just like, wow, like, whoa, what are they doing there? That's kind of weird. That's kind of interesting. So I really enjoyed how it focused on the actual performances. The best way to describe the tone of this movie is similar to like a South Korean film, maybe specifically like a Bong Joon-ho film, where it has, dark subject matter, but it also has little comedic elements as well. And the drama is kind of like exaggerated, more of like a melodrama. Dream Scenario is a film that utilizes Nick Cage so great. He's willing just to be over the top and goofy for the sake of the movie. Like, he's willing to exaggerate himself for a movie. And that works really great in this because he plays a pathetic man, and Nick Cage doubles down on being pathetic. This film as well is really funny. There's a lot of funny moments, and the idea behind it, this guy who's just in everyone's dreams, nobody knows why, and I love how it wasn't like explained, wasn't like, scientifically, did you know that this man was placed into space and the aliens saw him from a screen and then they transported the image? It's like, it doesn't do that. It's like, this is just a weird movie, and this is how it works in this world. And it's like, great. Yeah, so the idea is really unique, but as well how the film managed to take that idea and kind of go down different paths and different directions and try and tackle different themes and ideas as well with it, I found very fascinating. It was a film that as well, I could see it going in very different directions. I could see it ending in different ways and ending differently than it actually did. But overall, I am satisfied with how it ended. I guess I can see why people might be unsatisfied, because while watching it, I was like, oh, wow, that could be really interesting if they just ended it here, or wow, it could be interesting if they did more of that. But yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. Anatomy of a Fall is, a movie that's getting a lot of buzz, getting a lot of attention, rightfully so. It's a film that doesn't just play it straightforward. It wasn't trying to do crazy twists or turns. It was more of like, you're set in this time and place, and then as we're kind of growing with these characters, kind of seeing how the situation makes them feel, then you kind of find more information. You're kind of learning more information with other characters in the film. So it was really interesting how they kind of withheld specific pieces of information. You kind of get more curious as the film goes by, which is really good while watching like a murder mystery film. So I'm not sure if this is going to be controversial, if this is going to, put me in the bad books or something. But I did put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem on this list. And while at the same time, I didn't put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse into this list. Hey, it didn't fully click with me, Across the Spider-Verse. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, this doesn't replace Across the Spider-Verse. I just really enjoyed myself while watching this movie. It was probably some of the most fun I've had while watching a movie this year. It just is so silly and goofy, and it knows exactly what it is. It never does the route of doing the dumb meta jokes. The stylistic choices for the characters is really great too, as well, because I grew up watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, specifically like the 80s cartoon as a kid. That's kind of why I really like this movie too, where I was just like excited to see these characters. And now maybe I now know why people that see Marvel movies freak out and when a character appears, because when I saw Baxter Stockman, the Fly, at the beginning of this movie, I was like, no way, they got this guy. And also, I want to mention Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross do the score for this, and I was so excited while watching the scenes where their music is heavily involved in the scenes, especially the action scenes. Is just so great. It's very grungy, and it works perfectly for the animation style. Asteroid City. Have you guys seen Asteroid City? Asteroid City, it's not the best Wes Anderson film, and it's not the worst Wes Anderson film, but it doesn't have to be. A lot of people are like, oh, this isn't even his best movie. Yeah, it's either his best. No, guys, it's a good movie, okay? Even though it's not the best Wes Anderson movie for me personally, it does things that Wes Anderson hasn't really done yet. Mainly the whole thing being a whole play, which isn't really a spoiler. It's introduced in the first minute of the film. But the way they connect the actual actors' performances of the play with how they're playing it and the characters, I felt it did it in an interesting way where it felt like there was like an emotional payoff at the end. It has all the Wes Anderson isms that you can expect. Yeah, I just felt like Wes Anderson was doing, stuff a little bit differently. Not saying that it was completely different from a normal Wes Anderson film, but I felt like he was trying out different ideas, which I felt was great, rather than just kind of repeating itself. The Boy and the Heron, I am, a big Hayao Miyazaki fan, and I think because I did the video essay on him and I did a lot of research on who he is and how he's making his movies, this felt very rewarding to watch, honestly, because I saw a lot of Hayao Miyazaki trademarks and aspects that he pulls in here. Like there's similar themes, and there's this very surreal, otherworldly place that the characters go to. But at the same time, it felt like he was doing things a little bit differently too. It's similar to Asteroid City, where you're getting everything that you would expect from this director's work, but he does different things with the story specifically. And I saw the English dub, so Robert Pattinson as the Heron. Dude committed to the bit wholeheartedly, and I respect that. And yeah, I think the Heron is probably one of my new favorite Miyazaki characters. Like it's a beautiful looking film. I think that the world that the characters go into is kind of the most like surreal, trippy that Miyazaki's done, which is great to see. And now it's the time you've been waiting for. Time for the top three. The color has changed. Oppenheimer, you already knew it had to be on this list. Everybody's talking about this film, rightfully so. It's a banger film. It is Christopher Nolan doing what he does best, making a big, loud movie. And what I really liked about this film is that it took the spectacle that is used for these great big scenes, but it uses it interestingly for just normal scenes with Oppenheimer, and it feels like you're kind of in Oppenheimer's mind. It's a 3-hour-long movie, but it doesn't feel like 3 hours, okay? Now, number 2 is a film that nobody's really talking about, and I think it's the most underrated film of this year, and that is going to be How to Blow Up a Pipeline. So if you're unfamiliar with the story, it's basically about these college-age students who are negatively affected by the impact of the oil business, and so they want to do what they think is right, which is to sabotage the oil business by blowing up 2 of their pipelines. And it's an interesting story where you see these characters that are doing these things that, is illegal activity, but they become so desperate for something to change that this is what they're willing to do. And it's a film that immediately hooks you in. It is a heist film, and it just immediately, you're sucked in. With the booming synth score, I love that score so much. It works so great for this film. But throughout their little heist mission, you get backstory to each of these characters. So the story is told in a non-linear way. But I found that it worked. There's a lot of stuff that isn't fully revealed intentionally, but then through the flashbacks we see more insight to. Great film. It's one that I would recommend to everyone that I possibly know. Okay. So number 1 is gonna be Doja Cat's Say It So music video. I love this. So if you guys don't know, the Doja Cat song Say It So is actually a music video too. And it actually came out this year, fun fact. And I love it. And so right now, music videos, I think, aren't just music videos, but music films. Basically, they tell their own story. And in the Doja Cat, enough jokes, enough little, we're not doing this, okay? We're not joking around. This is a time of reflection and seriousness, and so I want to be transparent and real with you. I don't have a number 1 film of the year, because I don't like to place all that much power. Okay, I'm not doing that either. That was a little prank too. My number 1 film is going to be Past Lives, which is a film that, compared to a lot of films on this list, it's not the most crazy or like grand. It captures feelings that are very specific that, I haven't really seen done in a film before. It was really great, just experiencing this movie. It's a film that you fully feel the emotions through the screen. Like, the actors are so great in playing these characters that just feel like you're just watching people. It has a very naturalistic ability that captures like the human spirit and human emotions greatly. Yeah, it was one of those movies where when it ended, I was just like, wow, it just felt like I was just in these people's lives for like an hour and 40 minutes, and now it's gone. It was a very moving experience. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting really tired now, so how about you comment down below what movies you saw this year, and some of your favorite movies you saw this year before I fall asleep. Okay, I'm gonna fall asleep now. Guys, I'm getting really tired. How come you haven't commented what movies you saw, and how come you haven't even liked the video? I'm getting really tired. You better do that before I fall asleep. I'm gonna fall asleep soon. You haven't even hit that notification bell. And I'm gonna fall asleep. How about I'm gonna fall asleep, and then when I wake up, you like the video and subscribe.